Hey everyone, GeForce41 here with another PGA Tour 2K23 design tip video. I think what we're going with today is how to make your planting look natural. Um, my videos have been a little few and far between lately, but I just did a casual preview of Driftless Glen. Please check that out if you haven't, but I think I want to go back to doing some design tips. Those are clearly my most watched videos. So seemingly the most popular. So I think there's a little bit of an appetite for some basic coaching and design tips. So the course designer is a way to differentiate the product here, PGA Tour 2K23 versus the EA Sports PGA Tour games. So I think that in the society is what keeps this game moving along. And I think there's some newer folks and some newer designers out there. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about planting and how to make your planting look natural. This is my work in progress. It's a links course to be named later. I'm just in the middle of the planting stages, and if you've heard my videos before, I take forever and a day to to do the planting. But I thought while I was doing this, it might help to kind of walk you through some of the things I'm doing here. Um, so this is a work in progress. A links course. You see, I put a little bit of a town back there behind. This is the second hole, the second tee box, and I thought this came out nice. And I did some planting with some fencing around here, and you can see it's very muted, right? So let's look at the grass I'm using. I'm using this kind of basic, uh, very dark kind of rough. The heavy rough is this kind of beige, light brown. I think it's the number 5, but it's also got those pops of green in there, as you can see. So everything is kind of matching that. It's very muted green on the fairways. The tee boxes match the fairways. It's actually fairway texture, and the light rough is that kind of green that blends in well with this. As you can see here, I've put some bushes and trees. I'll go into the fairway stuff later. But the point here is just to show you how to do some planting so it looks natural and not, computer generated and repetitive. It looks like kind of natural random growth. So I've got some very muted um, organic looking bushes and grasses here that I have in my palette, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what I thought I'd do is kind of go to one of the other tee boxes and show you how I did this. This is, essential in the behind the tee cut. When you get to the tee and you're about to tee off, you kind of get those cut scenes that, you know, take a look at the hole and what's behind it. And I think they're important and they're a differentiator in your design. It helps set the tone, the mood, and the environment for you. So we're going to take a look at that, and then we'll take a peek at what I'm doing around the fairways, because on links course it's very, very hard to get that grass look that you really want, like you see out there. But there are a few ways to achieve it, and I'm doing a couple things. All right, so let's head to another tee box. I think we're going to have the 13 and do some planting there. All right, let's get right to it. Okay, we're at the 13th tee. And you see behind me there's the 12th green. I've done little to no planting behind this scene yet. There's the customary lighthouse in the corner. There, that's the corner of the plot, of course. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do back there. Some basic foliage, maybe some housing, something like that. I don't really know. But we're just going to show you how I do this with a little bit of the walk. This green and tee box is very close together, very links-like. I didn't quite pull that off on all the holes. But I thought I'd show you kind of what I'm doing here. And I've put the tee box down. Again, that's the fairway and the light rough. I might adjust that a little bit. I put it down very quickly for the video. But we're going to put some plants in around this tee box. I don't think I'm going to put a fence here. No need with it being so flat near that green. I might put a fence off towards the seaside over there. But we'll figure that out later. People go crazy with that fence plan, right? It even goes up and down hills and the wood gets curved, and that's not really what I think anybody's after. So let's show you what I'm doing right in here. So again, this is aimed at newer designers. If you're not familiar with the tool, you go into nature, trees. All the bushes are here. The bushes are not under plants; they're under trees. And of course, you've got when you first come up, you've got the whole enchilada here. You've got 53 pages of trees. What you want to do if you're new is, you tab forward with the triangle. I'm on PlayStation, folks. You come to the theme. I tend to take a peek at these and try to use some of these. I think I might use less meter. I'm not 100% sure that's the case. But people wiser than me have put things like that in their videos, so I trust them. And then you go to, one more time, it's anything you've placed in your design so far. So you get, my advice to you is get this palette. I call it my palette going early. Think about what you want to do, your look and your feel, and get your bushes and trees in there. And now you've got a manageable 4 pages, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I had an idea early on. I know a lot of these bushes I've used in the past, and I knew kind of what I was going for. So we've got some basics here. And what I've used a lot is this one. It kind of matches the terrain a little, right? And this is kind of a good filler. And what you want to kind of do is get some bushes in here, and we'll put in some grass, okay? And so you kind of want to fill this corner here with something. I might use one of these two. I've used these a bunch. One of these two, probably this guy, or maybe we use this guy this time. And take it, and now you want to be very cognizant of the size, right? This you're shrinking down as far as you can go. You don't want them to be gigantic. So one of the errors I see all the time is trees or grasses that are too big, or they're too kind of small in the distance to be noticeable. But we're going to just kind of snuggle this one right in the corner, okay? Now here's a trick to making these things look natural. If you want to use the same bush again, I just got the latest update. You can do it, but what you don't want to do is do the same thing over and over again and make it look exactly the same, right? So you want to use this again in this corner. You take it up and just rotate it a little, all right? I would say change the size, but you don't really want the size to be much different right here. And you can put that right in here and just sink it down, right? And I'm using the L1 to sink it, R1 to raise, L1, R1, L1, R1. For anybody who's really new to the program. I'm just going to make that look good, all right? Now I'm going to add some guys around it, some wingmen, so to speak. Let's go back to this guy. This is really good filler. I'm going to put that there. This is a bit of a big hill. Sink that down a little. Again, you don't want this one way up there. You just want it kind of down, making like it's kind of natural growth. One on the other side. Okay, again, you see how I'm tilting it. So take another one. This one, shrink this one down. This one's pretty big. And again, you don't want it too high up, right? You don't want this to be a giant bush. We're just gonna bury that a little. So it kind of looks like kind of natural growth shrubs here. And we're leaving some space for some grass in front of this and around it, okay? Same thing here. Take it, rotate it, sink it down, okay? And then you want to add some green here. So I've been using this guy a lot. All right, we can kind of put this guy. Now, again, you're taking this and sinking this way down because you just want those tops kind of sticking out a little. Rotate it around, sink it again. Looks a little different, a little random. Okay. And then I've been using this guy. Now this looks a little bit more like a light brown on the side, on the palette there, but it's actually kind of green. And I used to use this a lot, kind of like decorating around tee boxes and everything. It's pretty good in other themes, but what I've been using this one for here is, again, just kind of background filler, just like that, okay? And you can maybe stick another one over here. Now, don't forget, you're going to see this from this angle, too. Okay, so we're not focusing on that just yet, but I'm keeping that in the back of my mind, that we're going to be taking a look at this from this angle, too, when you're in the green. So that's kind of the key of the planning. Make sure you're thinking about where this is going to be viewed from, right? And if it's going to be viewed at all. Spend the time on where something's going to be viewed multiple times. It's going to be viewed here, and it's going to be viewed here, and the BT, the cutscene, when you come to the next hole. You don't want to worry about the stuff that's like way over here somewhere where you're hardly going to see it. spend your time in your meter where it's most important. You know, I mean, ignore patches in your course and make it look ridiculous, but um, just be careful. So, do we need anything else? I don't think so. Here, I think we're gonna keep this one really simple, especially for purposes of the video. Now we're gonna go to the grass. Same thing. I got the palette going. And again, I got these muted tones. This matches the heavy rough, right? I got this one. I'm not using this one too much. I'm using this one, which is basically the same thing, but a little straighter. It doesn't have the super curvy pieces. And this green, which kind of blends in with the greens. You see those pops of green in there? And then I use this one sparsely too. It kind of adds that little bit of pop with those white things. They kind of shine in the distance a little bit. And then you'll see I use one of these other ones for really just a sprinkling of effect at the end. So again, with the grass, the key is to get it the right size, right? You don't want it too big. You want it blending in, right? You don't want this grass up here looking ridiculous, okay? Because it's going to be very noticeable with these cutscenes. So you want it to be just a little bit taller than this shrubbery here. And you want it enough that you're going to see it from the tee box, okay? All right, so what I do is now I just go around, and the key here again is making this go in different directions and different sizes. So I take one or two passes at it, and then I blend some grasses together to give it the natural. Because if you just go like this, all right, that looks ridiculous, right? I mean, it's the same thing 3 times in a row. Does not, and it's exactly the same. It looks just silly and computer generated, right? So people don't really blend these grasses together well or vary them up very much. Where'd that one get there? Get out of there. So here's what I do. Now again, I'm on PlayStation, right? So I can't do it one at a time, but I do it very quickly, and I scatter it and zigzag a little. I'm gonna go down here. Notice I'm zigzagging. Okay. All right, you can say, Gary, well, that's all kind of the same thing, right? Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to rotate it 180 and then change the size a little bit. Do the same thing and kind of fill in the blanks where you didn't go before. Fill it in. Fill it in. Fill it in. Okay? All right, so now if you look at it from a distance, that looks fairly random and grown in. Now, you can go crazy. I'm not going to go too crazy with this because you're not going to get too much of a view from over here. But again, you put in another type of grass real quick. Now, don't forget, we're going to be viewing this from the other side as well. Take a look, see how that looks. I'm going to add some accents in a second. From here, I might want some of the green, right? Because don't forget, we'll be looking at this from the green of 12. It's very slow. I'm getting up there in the meter, as you can see. So I'm going to put some greens in here. Right there will work, I think, very well. And so that adds a little bit of a touch from this direction. It gives it some depth, I think. All right, and it doesn't look too crazy. Now, you don't want to overplant. I've been accused of that because I throw tons of stuff at these grasses to fill the landscape. But I think if you're too sparse with these grasses, it looks a little silly. But you just want to accent a little, just this guy a couple of times. Shrink it down, you don't want too big. Okay. That'll look nice in the light. You can barely see it, but again, it kind of helps with some pops and some differentiation. It just makes it look a little bit more random. And then this guy, not these two, way in the corner, this is very subtle. But you put a couple of, I've been put a couple of these in here and it works nicely. Make it a little bigger so you can see it. Right there. 1 or 2 of these, that's it. That's all you need. Maybe one down here. Because again, you're going to see this from down here. I think that's a good spot. You can kind of see that. You can't see it that well. Right there might work. Stands out a little bit. Okay. And that's it. So it looks pretty simple from there. Takes up some space. Adds a lot to the background. Now obviously you want to do the same type thing over here. Same type thing over here. the corner, and then kind of something else in these corners. A little bit more subtle because it's, you know, that's going to be in play, and you don't want to take up the view. I'm going to do some planting down here. I've got a little bridge and a place for spectators here. That's really just kind of covering up the water line as it hits out into the ocean. Um, and that's it. So again, it's simple stuff. The point I'm trying to get across is make it random, rotate it, rotate the size, rotate the shape, rotate the the different types of grasses and the bushes, and make it look organic. And that's how you make it look natural, right? Like it's kind of that lived-in feel. Okay. All right. So that's just simple BTs behind the tee box type stuff. Let's take a look at the fairway. So as you've seen on some of the fairways, I've got some bushes going, and I've got this heavy rough burnout look going. You used to have to do that by burying trees, but now if you go into sculpt terrain, this is a new tool in the new game. You go down clear generated heavy rough brush. I use this guy, the fuzzy donut, as I've called it in other videos. I go down about 95, whatever, and all you want to do is kind of go over here to do this. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing it to give it a little bit of that, again, that lived-in look and break up the monotony, because it just looks, it's just like this. This is very plain, and it's very boring, to be honest with you. And you're going to have to plant the hell out of it, and we don't have a whole lot of meter. So it kind of gives it that rough look where I'm just going to, that bush is just there to reminder to plant. I'm going to plant around it. So it takes up space and it breaks up the terrain. It breaks up your view and your kind of eye line. And so I've done that a lot, as you saw in that first, it was the second fairway. But what you do is, that kind of breaks things up and it gives you a little bit of area where you don't have to plant. But you can use that and plant around it and kind of riff off of that. So that's what I'm doing here. Now it's the same concepts, okay? Take some of these plants. Again, I'm going back. Whoops, I'm in the theme. Sorry about that. Placed. Maybe take this guy. This guy, I call it the triangle because it's kind of like three of them in a triangle. Take this, bury this down. Again, you want this shrunk down. You don't want it huge because it tends to be very big, and if you put spectators around here, it looks absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to put some bushes around here. Okay. Again, use this guy for filler. Something like this, something like this. We're going to plant around it. Okay, you don't have to fill in the whole thing. This is where the kind of artistic ability comes in, to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. How much you need to plant and how much you don't. Again, I'm doing this very quick for the video. It's up to you. Again, I'm not the most artistic guy in the world. I'm just trying to keep this simple and natural looking. And so you kind of put some bushes around this little burnt out area, and then put some grass around it. Again, you can use this guy. I'm using this a lot. And then don't forget there's these gorse bushes that have some pops of yellow in them. It is a lynx course. So you see these with the little pops of yellow. These are pretty popular. Again, I take it and I bury it a little. And then we're going to put grass all around this thing. So yeah, I know you don't want the high grass look on everything, but if you think about all that plant, there's no way you could put grass around this whole thing. Some people have made some unbelievable prairie courses where there's just a ton of grass, but that's kind of all there is because you run out of meter, So it's up to you and how you use your meter, but go around and one of the things I do is I take this to be quick. All right, put this down. Where am I going to put this? Multiple times. I'll put it here. I'll put one there, and just kind of go bush by bush. But for the sake of the video, I'm not going to continue to do too much. But you get the point. Again, so rotate it, vary the size, the shape, the orientation, and get something that's just not uniform looking. That's just a little random looking, right? Put this here. I'm just going to do one more. Rotate it. Sink it. There you go. Okay, I might do a few more, but again, for the video, I don't want to bore you to tears and lose the entire audience. So what you're going to do here, same thing we just did. Go back to the grass. Go to your palette. Get to the main guy, right? And you can do some around here. I might just use all grass around here because it's a bunker. And again, the size is going to be important. So one thing to do is if you don't have something as a reference point like a fence, just go to the flag, right? That's as small as it can get. I wouldn't go much bigger than that because the flag is just about as tall as a person, maybe a little taller. So you don't want it up to somebody's chest. That's a little ridiculous. That's too big. So I kind of go halfway up the flag. The problem is you need to see it. It needs to render in the distance. So the bigger the better. But that's kind of too big for those bushes. So I want it here. Because really you want a view. You'll see this kind of from the green if you're putting. Or if you missed the green and you're in the bunker or something like that. So you want it to be a reasonable size. So again, you just do the same thing. Randomize it, shake it up, zigzag it. Kind of want this one going around there. I'll do that later. Go up around here. Okay, get that in there. Second pass, rotate it, shrink it. Again, you can be as careful with this as you want. You can do these one at a time. I don't know how you do this on the PC. I think there's a better way of doing it. If there's a better way of doing it on the PlayStation, please tell me. Again, but use the comments. Like and subscribe, do all those good things. Share your comments with me. But here you want to mix up the grasses, like I said. We'll put in a green texture. Here, that'll be good. Especially in here. Okay. And again, you can use this one. Really vary it up if you want. I'm not going to do that for the sake of the video. Might touch it up later. You get the point because we've done this already. But put this guy in a couple times. Okay. And then this accent one will be really cool somewhere. I think like way up here would be like really cool. Okay. And just go around the whole thing, right? Now, how much you do that is up to you. It's how much do you want to take up your meter? How much do you want to do this? How much you could do anything here? You could just do grass on these hills. But again, that's a whole lot to cover. It's also a whole lot of time. So what I do is I vary it. I kind of do some of these. Put the brush around it. Some of these hills I'm just putting some grass. And really vary it. And I'm doing some of these kind of waste bunkers. I'm going to plant around them. You can see you got the traditional links bunkers, which is as I did the video. This is the hole I was doing the tutorial on the how to do links bunkers. So you can see I haven't gotten super far in the planting. I did that video, what, 2 months ago? But I was finishing the course. So the course itself is playable right now. It's just not planted at all. So there it is. So, the moral of the story here is to vary it up, right? So let's go back to the second green. Sorry, the second tee box. So there it is. This is more of a finished product. So, okay, maybe this makes a little bit more sense. That we went through some of the basics. All I'm telling you, folks, is to vary it up. Use bushes and grasses that blend with your overall look and feel, the overall textures of your rough and your fairways. Rotate them, change the size, change the shape, change the orientation so it looks natural. And you don't want to be too repetitive, right? So you want to make that kind of random natural growth look come into play, and that gives you that really realistic look and feel. This section I think came out really well. I'm struggling filling the rest of this course. As you see, the meter's up to 57. The memory's up to 89. I don't know how I'm going to get it in, but you'll find out in a few weeks. So I'm doing my best, but it takes a while. So I hope this is helpful. So again, if you want any more design tips, let me know. If you want any course playthroughs, let me know. I'm certainly here to help. Leave me some comments. Like I said, likes and subscribes are greatly appreciated, and I'll be back with more. But that was it. This was how to make your planting look natural. Just a very, very simple, quick 101. I can cover things like tree lines at a later date, but I thought the grasses and the plants would be very helpful just for some of the things I've seen, in my judging for TGC Tours and the Rookie Design Contest, and for the Casuals Golf Club when I'm reviewing courses to see if I want to put them in the schedule. So hope this was helpful. Let me know either way, and let me know if there's anything else you want out there in terms of content. Thank you for joining, and I'll talk to you very soon.